Live in action, 642. Here we had a left elbow gap down on Netflix with the icon selling half his stake the other day. We've only been open now for 13 minutes. And what we're going to emphasize and show live here now is how that oversold stock is getting a dead cat bounce, and that the news did not play out the opposite way. And we're going to look at each one of these sixteenths are $4.23. You can see how accurate it is. One, two, three, four 1/16 teenies times $4.23. That's $18 movement in less than in 13 minutes on Netflix. That is the reversal. We can see what the headlines are doing. People are jumping in and running it to major resistance levels right here where it broke down yesterday, 335. So, once again, on this opening bell, $18.19 movement in 13 minutes of that opening bell tape. One of the things that we're going to be keying in is where the 325 puts were $21.15. And we're going to see if these come down toward 1050 area and lower within the volatility. So the higher the move off of the bottom, they're going to mark this side of the tape down. It had a big move yesterday when Netflix fell. The 335 call, we had owned it once at 1670, came out, bought at 1370, kept a stop at 1250. But we will be looking at throughout the calendar day how this support and resistance levels are going to work. Here is the 330 put, 20.55, 23.74. Now, as Netflix is making that dead cat bounce, Icon sold half of the stake. That was the headline. After hours last night, that wouldn't have made you headline. What we're going to be watching is what the markdown is here based on the resistances and where this side of the market comes to the 330 put. There is the 335 resistance level. As we said, they finally only marked this thing down $4.70 to the low from the close on the 325 opening bell, and it's 15 minutes opening bell. And we're watching all sides of the market. And we're watching what this bounce and where the dip buyers have come in the MMT platform. And we're watching all markets, both the put side, but they're not cheap. So therefore, we are going to continue watching the 325s and how these mathematical scripts 1, 2, 3, 4 times $4.23. And now it's going to set up a bottom. We're going to see how the volatility plays out from the earnings and the icon statements. And the CEO said that people were exuberant and chasing the stock on its earnings, and it dropped big yesterday, about $65 plus off of those highs. Today's lows right here, 317. That's that opening bell print. Once again, I'm going to recap the 330 put, where it's coming up in value. Right now, it made a low of $16, so that's a good side to be buying because we had that major reversal. Look at that. Remember, each one of these lines are $4.23 to the penny because we had such a big dollar price movement that the 16th value right here is 4.23. It's that accurate. So we can see how they marked these down $4.55 from the close. And based on that, it had that big move up. And it really showed that resistance. And each 16th is 4.23. So you've had over $8 reversal right here, right now. Now, let's go back over here to this 335 call. That we are buyers at much lower prices, and or we can always move in at around 1080, 1090 It just depends on what the continuing opening bell ranges are on the actual equity price movement herein, on how to both deal with both sides of the market, how to remove risk, how to keep stops, how to look at the put side at resistances, how to make the transaction wholesale and then get out. Price verification model in play.